These are the faces of strength, the faces of the Army family. Regardless of where they live or are deployed in the world, they give selflessly to one another and the nation they love. Listen, watch, see why they now and forever are the strength of the nation. Sergeant Michael Espejo Jr. is a portrait of personal courage and strength. On patrol in Afghanistan, his unit came upon a burning vehicle, the site of an IED explosion. Sergeant Espejo spotted an apparent victim of the blast and rushed to his aid.
Sergeant Espejo picked the guy up, carried him back to a safe distance away from the vehicle, and he noticed something bulky on his chest and realized that it was a suicide vest on this guy. He had a trigger in his hand. He's trying to hit the trigger.
Sergeant Espejo threw the suicide bomber to the ground and yelled out a warning to his men and to the bomber to surrender.
And he was trying to detonate the switch. At that time, Sergeant Espejo had to eliminate the threat.
Under extreme stress, Espejo made a shot with pinpoint accuracy. Inches lower, he may have detonated the bomber's massive explosive charge.
A lot of soldiers would have backed out. He knew how big of a threat it was, and he was still placing himself there rather than trying to get back.
What he did just reinforces the type of leader and soldier that he is.
I have been trained well, and it is a privilege to pass that knowledge on to others. I am Sergeant Michael Espejo.
Specialist Monica Brown is a combat medic and the second female soldier to receive the Silver Star since World War II. In Afghanistan, her platoon convoy was struck by an IED and then ambushed, braving mortar rounds and direct fire coming in all around. Then Private Brown rushed to the aid of fellow soldiers injured by the blast.
And despite all those threats, she was exposing herself to that shrapnel by pulling these kids out of the impact area into a secure place. Private Brown threw her body on top of these wounded soldiers.
Private Brown's actions resulted in the complete recovery of 4 other soldiers who are back in uniform today.
We approached then Private Brown and just simply asked her, hey, why'd you do it? And her response was, that's my buddies. Those are my teammates on the battlefield.
Private, now Specialist Brown's selfless actions exemplify the strength of the modern soldier, teamwork and camaraderie, and never allowing a fallen comrade to remain on the battlefield.
I did what I did because that's what I was trained to do. And those men in that truck weren't only soldiers, they were my friends. I am Specialist Monica Brown.
Once a soldier, always a soldier. Chief Warrant Officer Melvin Nestaby's story is one of valor on the battlefield, courage, and survival. At age 21, in World War II, he fought in the Philippines against the invading Japanese.
And they landed at Lingayen Gulf up north, 100 of them to one of us. We put up resistance to every foot of the way, but we couldn't hold them. Them bullets going by your ear sound like a mosquito.
After 155 days of brutal close combat, his unit was forced to surrender. Nestaby survived the Bataan Death March and was interned in 4 different Japanese POW camps for 36 months. He went on to fight in the Korean War and also served in Germany before retiring in 1961.
He is the very epitome of an American patriot. He'll be 88 in another week or so, but he would respond if he had a call to do it.
His uniform and medals are displayed in a museum now, but Melvin's strength and his dedication to the flag continue to inspire a new generation of soldiers.
I am a soldier. I will always be a soldier.
David is the spitting image of my husband, Paul. He is very loved by everybody, and he's a typical teenager.
David Smith may seem typical, but he's far from it. In 2003, his father, Paul Ray Smith, was killed in Iraq. His unit was ambushed, and he single-handedly held off up to 100 enemy soldiers in order that his wounded brothers could escape. He received the Medal of Honor, which the President of the United States presented to David.
The moment I told him that his father has passed away, he stood up and he was the man. David told me, "Mom, don't be sad. He is with God and he saved many soldiers."
David's quiet strength has helped his family cope with their devastating loss. And at school and to his friends, he tells of his father's story often, of his heroic deeds, and of his just being Dad.
David would want people to know how his father was as a father. Outgoing, warm-hearted, a fun guy.
To all of our family and friends back there and at home, like you see from the big mess you already saw already, we're staying busy and we love you and miss you. You guys take care on the home front.
Paul Ray Smith's spirit lives on in the hearts of the family he left behind.
To the rest of the world, he received the Medal of Honor. To me, he's my dad and my hero. I'm David Smith.
If you like your heroes the old-fashioned type, running headlong into enemy fire, guns blazing in both hands, then you'll really like Staff Sergeant Brandon Zylstra.
If every platoon had squad leaders like Sergeant Zylstra out under fire, we would be even more successful than we are now. He's a hero.
In 2007, Sergeant Zylstra's unit found itself trapped behind a jackknifed vehicle and began taking heavy enemy fire. Sergeant Zylstra defied a hail of bullets to drag first one, then another wounded soldier to safety. His own vehicle full of casualties, Zylstra jumped on the hood of his platoon sergeant's Humvee, and with the vehicle driving in reverse, he continued firing so the enemy would keep their heads down, enabling his platoon's escape.
To see Sergeant Zylstra with one weapon in each hand, shooting from the hip, shooting up at rooftops, and yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs, it's the scene that you'd see in a movie.
Staff Sergeant Brandon Zylstra received the Silver Star for valor, and he says he was just doing his job to go out and fight the enemy.
He epitomizes strength in the nation.
I did it because that's what soldiers do for their fellow soldiers.
We do it every single day, rain, sleet, or snow, 365 days a year, holidays included. You have to see it to believe it and to feel the energy. You have to be there. When I'm escorting soldiers through those doorways and they see 100, 200, up to 500 people sometimes, they are totally shocked. The Welcome Home Hero program, it's a conglomeration, I should say, of veterans, businessmen, corporate sponsors, high school kids, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, fraternities, sororities. I mean, it's just the entire Metroplex on a daily basis. Donna Cranston is the lead on the coordination to make sure that we have the families in line first, then we have the veterans, and then we have the meeters and greeters after that, and to make sure everybody is happy. And she has to be out here first, and she has to deal with family members. I look into the veterans' eyes and I watch how it makes them feel, and they cry. It's like they are reliving that moment in time and being thankful that, you know, our country is so appreciative of these younger soldiers coming through. We call Donna Cranston the mother of all troops. If she's on top of the job, the mission will be completed.
I
As a grateful American, I can tell you there's nothing like looking our troops in the eye, shaking their hand, and thanking them for serving our country.
They may be ordinary people, but the simple fact is that they do extraordinary things. And that's why we can say that they are faces of strength, the strength of the nation.